My child, you are so tired that rest itself has become work. You know the feeling. You finally have a Saturday with nothing scheduled, and instead of relief, you feel anxiety. You scroll your phone because sitting still feels wrong. You find tasks that don't need doing because doing nothing feels like failure. You know that moment when someone tells you to rest and your first thought is, I haven't earned it yet. That sensation Sunday afternoon when you should be relaxing, but you are already mentally running through Monday's obligations. The guilt that creeps in within 15 minutes of trying to do nothing. You have started to believe that rest is something you deserve only after you have produced enough. That Sabbath is for people who have worked hard enough to justify it. That God's rest is somewhere on the other side of your exhaustion. If you can just push through a little more. If you have felt this, you are not imagining it, and you are not lazy. When God commanded remember the Sabbath, everyone thought they understood. A day off, a religious obligation. Time to recharge so you can work harder the next 6 days. But what if the entire concept of Sabbath has been reversed? And that reversal is why you cannot rest even when you try. Let me show you what I discovered. Let me tell you about Michael. Michael was a pastor for 18 years. He taught about Sabbath, preached sermons on rest, led workshops on work-life balance, and he was so exhausted he couldn't remember the last time he slept through the night without waking up at 3 a.m. with his mind already running through his task list. He tried everything, scheduled days off that he spent feeling guilty for not working, attempted Sabbath practices that became another item on his spiritual to-do list, read books about rest that made him feel like he was failing at yet another thing. The breaking point came on a Tuesday morning. He was sitting in his office, staring at a sermon he was writing about God's rest, and he realized he had no idea what that meant anymore. Not theologically, he could exegete Exodus. He could trace the Sabbath command through Scripture, but experientially rest felt like a myth. That is when a friend said something that stopped him cold. What if Sabbath isn't about what you do? What if it is about what God already did? Michael had studied the Hebrew word for Sabbath dozens of times. Shabbat. He knew it meant to cease, to stop, but he had always understood it as a command to stop working so you could rest. His friend showed him something different. In Genesis 2, God doesn't rest after creation because he is tired. God rests as the final act of creation itself. The seventh day isn't God recovering. It is God declaring, it is complete. Nothing is lacking. You can stop now. And here is what broke something open in Michael. God rested on the seventh day before humanity did any work at all. Before Adam tended the garden. Before Eve named anything. Before there was productivity to measure or contribution to evaluate. God rested, and then invited humanity into that rest. Not work 6 days and then you have earned a break. But I have already rested, join me. Michael sat with that for a long time. If God rested first before humanity produced anything, then rest isn't a reward for work. Rest is the foundation from which work flows, which raises a question that probably haunts you too. If rest comes first, why does it feel impossible to access? Watch what happens when God gives the Sabbath command at Sinai. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. For centuries we have read that as work 6 days, then rest on the seventh, a rhythm, a cycle, effort followed by recovery. But the Hebrew structure is doing something else. The word remember here, zachor, doesn't mean don't forget to do this thing. It means return to what already exists. Remember Sabbath the way you would remember your name. Return to the rest that has already been established. God isn't saying create Sabbath by stopping work. God is saying return to the Sabbath I already created before you were born. This is why you feel like rest is always one more task away. You are trying to create something that already exists. You are trying to earn access to something you were born into. The Sabbath command appears again in Deuteronomy, and here is where it gets even more pointed. The reason given for Sabbath is different. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out. Therefore, the Lord your God commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Slaves don't rest. Slaves produce. Slaves are measured by output, and God says you are not slaves anymore. You are free. and the evidence of your freedom is that you can stop. This is what it looks like when you wake up Monday morning already defeated, because you know you will never get through everything on your list. You are operating like a slave whose worth is tied to production. You are relating to work the way Egypt taught you to, not the way God designed you to. But watch what Jesus does with Sabbath. The religious leaders are furious because he keeps healing on the Sabbath day, breaking their rules, violating what they think Sabbath means. And Jesus says something that should have changed everything. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Sabbath isn't a hoop to jump through. It is not one more thing you have to do correctly. Sabbath was made for you, not as an obligation, as a gift. The religious leaders had turned Sabbath into performance, 39 categories of forbidden work, measuring how well you rested, evaluating whether you kept it holy enough. Jesus is saying, you have reversed it. Sabbath isn't something humanity does for God. It is something God does for humanity. And here is the revelation around minute 8 that changes everything. When Jesus heals on the Sabbath, he is not breaking Sabbath. He is demonstrating what Sabbath actually is. Sabbath is God restoring what is broken, God mending what is wounded, God bringing wholeness to what has been fragmented. And that work doesn't stop. Ever, God isn't resting from you. God is resting with you in the middle of your incompleteness, in the middle of your brokenness, in the middle of your exhaustion from trying to earn what is already yours. This is why the religious performance model destroys people. It turns Sabbath into one more thing you are failing at, one more way to measure yourself and come up short. But if Sabbath is God's rest that you are invited into, not your rest that you have to create, then you can stop trying to be good enough to deserve it. You were never supposed to earn rest. You were supposed to receive it. Michael told me what happened the first weekend after he understood this. Saturday morning came, and the familiar anxiety started rising. The sense that he should be doing something, the guilt for having unfinished tasks, the pressure to make the day count. And for the first time in 18 years, he said out loud, God, I am not resting because I have worked hard enough. I am resting because you already rested. I am joining something you started, not creating something I have to maintain. He sat in his backyard, did nothing, and when the guilt came, he didn't fight it. He acknowledged it. This feels wrong because I have been taught that my worth comes from productivity. But that is Egypt talking, not Eden. The anxiety didn't disappear immediately, but something shifted. He wasn't trying to achieve rest. He was practicing trust that rest already existed, whether he felt peaceful or not. This is what happens when we lose the truth, that Sabbath is God's rest, not ours to manufacture. We turn rest itself into performance. You recognize this, don't you? In your own story, you try to rest correctly. You beat yourself up for not being able to relax. You measure whether your Sabbath was restful enough. You create rules about what counts as rest and what doesn't. And all of it is the same slavery with a spiritual vocabulary. This is why our culture is so exhausted. We have made an idol of productivity, yes, but we have also made rest into one more thing we have to be good at. One more metric for measuring ourselves. One more way to fail. The hustle culture guru says, grind harder, rest is for the weak. The wellness industry says, optimize your rest, track your sleep, make recovery a science. Both are slavery. Both are saying your worth is tied to what you produce, even if what you are producing is relaxation. But Sabbath says you are not what you produce. You are who God says you are, and God says you are worth resting with, right now before you have accomplished anything. You might see this in your own story. The way you cannot sit still, the way you fill silence with noise, the way you feel guilty for having needs, for being tired, for not being enough. That is not a character flaw, that is Egypt. That is the slave mentality that says you only matter if you are producing. And this is what changes when you understand that Sabbath isn't yours to create. You stop trying to earn rest. You stop evaluating whether you have done enough to deserve it. You stop performing even your stopping. You just cease. Because God already did. So what does God mean by Sabbath? He means rest is not a reward, it is a foundation. He means you don't work your way to rest. you rest your way into work. He means his seventh-day rest before humanity's first-day work is the entire point. You were born into a rest that already existed. You are not creating it. You are returning to it. Michael discovered this after 18 years of teaching Sabbath while having no idea how to experience it. You don't have to wait that long. Here is what this reveals about God's character. God doesn't rest from you. God rests with you when you are exhausted, when you haven't accomplished enough, when your to-do list is longer than your capacity, when you feel like you are failing at being human. God's rest doesn't require your performance. It precedes your performance. This means you don't have to work harder to deserve a break. You don't have to produce more to justify rest. You don't have to achieve some arbitrary standard before you are allowed to stop. You can stop now, not because you have earned it, but because God already established it. Before you took your first breath, before you accomplished anything, before you proved your worth, the Sabbath is here. The rest exists, and the only requirement is recognizing that it is not yours to create. It is yours to receive. God rested on the seventh day and called it good, not because the work was done, but because the work was enough. Creation was complete, not because nothing else would ever need doing, but because what existed was sufficient. And you right now, in your incompleteness, are enough. Not because you have done enough, but because God says so. This is the God who rests before you work, who invites you into completion before you contribute anything, who calls you beloved before you become useful. You can stop trying to earn what you already have. You can cease from the slavery of measuring your worth by your output. You can rest, not as a reward, but as a homecoming. The Sabbath is not a day. It is a posture. It is the ongoing reality that God's work is complete, and you are invited in right now before you fix yourself, or finish your list, or become who you think you need to be. You can rest. Not someday, not after. Now tomorrow, when you wake up and the anxiety starts about everything you need to do, that is when you might remember, God rested first before you accomplished anything. The rest exists whether you feel it or not. When you are sitting at your desk at 2 p.m., exhausted, telling yourself you haven't earned a break yet, that is when you might notice you are trying to create something that already exists. The Sabbath isn't on the other side of your productivity. It is underneath it. The next time someone tells you to rest and guilt floods in, pay attention to that guilt. It is Egypt talking. It is the voice that says you are only valuable when you are producing, and it is lying. You might start noticing how often you apologize for having needs, for being tired, for taking up space without earning it. Each time you notice, you are seeing the slave mentality that Sabbath was designed to break. This isn't about trying harder to rest. It is about recognizing that rest isn't yours to achieve. It is God's to give, and He already gave it. On the seventh day before you were born, your only job is to stop long enough to receive it. Remember, God doesn't rest from you. God rests with you right now, in your incompleteness before you have earned it. That is not theology. That is an invitation. The Sabbath is here. You don't have to wait. You don't have to perform. You just have to stop, and when you do, you will discover what was true all along. Rest isn't the reward for work. Rest is the foundation that makes work possible. God established it before you lifted a finger. You are not trying to get to rest. You are learning to return to it over and over. Every time you forget, every time Egypt's voice gets loud, every time you slip back into measuring your worth by your output, the door is open, the rest exists. God is already there, waiting for you to join Him. Not after you finish, not when you have done enough, now.